Yamagabi Yadamalia. G'day friends, my name's Clinton Schultz. I'm the Director of First Nations and Strategy and Partnerships here at Black Dog Institute. So I'm a registered psychologist. I started working in this space of social and emotional wellbeing directly out of university. As well, I was at university, I sort of realised that the way that psychology is taught and I guess promoted and practiced didn't necessarily fit well with many of our ways of knowing and being and doing, and so I decided that I wanted to sort of pursue a career in looking at how we may be able to do wellbeing work differently and more aligned with our own ways of knowing, being and doing. The best thing to come out of the seminar that we've held today, the webinar that we had, besides having close to 1,000 people online who are from community and therefore have the opportunity to join into the sharing of knowledge, has been the opportunity to share with other First Nations academics, thought provokers and really leaders in this space from around the world, and to look at the things that we share, positive and negative, but also the differences in perspectives that exist between us and what we may be able to look at that may be working somewhere else, and might be able to have a look at how we may be able to use that in different contexts here in Australia. What inspires me about working in the space of social emotional wellbeing is knowing that, with the opportunities and resources that I've been very privileged to have in my life so far, that I've got an opportunity to do something with that, and in some little shape, some tiny little way, to know that you're making a difference in other people's lives, in families and communities' lives, is an amazing thing to be able to spend your day doing. What I'd really like to see in the space of social and emotional wellbeing as we move forward is for First Nations peoples all around the country to really be given back ownership of this space, for institutions and organisations to realise that as part of a decolonising process, there's a need for us to give back the resources that have been extracted from First Nations peoples and re-empower First Nations peoples, communities, organisations to voice their own concerns and to figure out what it is that they actually want to work on in this space, and to provide the opportunities and resources for them to be able to work on those things. And I think we're just at the very cusp of that movement at present, and I really look forward to being able to, again, in some little tiny form, be a part of that moving forward. What I really hope for in terms of our own social and emotional wellbeing is that we get the opportunity through re-engaging with our own ways of knowing, being and doing, our own law and our own cultural practices, to re-establish really strongly who we are in a positive way, and to build that strong sense of positive identity into our young people, so that they have the opportunity to then drive that into their young people in generations to come, and hopefully for Australia then to take part in that, and for our ways and our overall social emotional wellbeing to have influence on the majority population's overall social emotional wellbeing as we have an opportunity to all walk forward together. The most important message that I'd like to send to young First Nations mob all around the country is that, yes, things can be difficult and at times things will seem overwhelming, but never get lost in that. There's a wealth of opportunity out there, and more so those opportunities are becoming more aligned with our own ways, with our own law, and I think there's a wonderful opportunity for us to teach each other and to teach other Australians and the rest of the world how we can really live well with each other and with place moving forward into the future. And it's our young people that are going to drive that agenda. So Gabanindu, thank you. Hope you watch this sometime in the future. So people would hear me talk a lot about the importance of connections, and obviously for us as First Nations people, some of those connections that are paramount to our sense of actually being and of being who we are. So for me as Gomeroi or Gamilaroi is having the opportunity to learn and connect to and practice and share our Diriyah Gamal, my law as a Gamilaroi man. So I think culture is our number one protective factor. Everything within my law is there to guide us on how to live a well life as self and how to live that well life as self with others and with wherever we are, whatever place we're on. And that's a beautiful concept to be able to use as a backbone for your life and your ongoing lived journey, or for me, for my Burragunayali, for how I get to add to that foreverness of our creation stories. And when people haven't got the opportunity to learn that backbone, to really understand what is culture to whoever I am, I think that we're doing them a disservice, and we're setting them up to not have the opportunity that many others have got and will get into the future. And so what I really want to see as we move forward is for more culture to be included in our education services, so that our young people actually get an opportunity to really learn who they are and what makes us different in terms of our ways of thinking and our ways of actually engaging and being with each other and with place. That has allowed us to be the longest ongoing society on the planet, and arguably the best at managing both wellness of place and wellness of self throughout that long period of time. So, as I said, law and culture is the backbone of that. I don't think we can underestimate the importance of connection to country, and everything that we are, it stems from country. So even my law, my Diriyah Gamal, comes from our Gamilaroi country, and without that country, I have no law to resonate from that. I have no way of positioning my roles and responsibilities to others and to place. And without that country, I don't have a language that allows me to actually sing that energy back in and act in those processes of reciprocal energy sharing that really allow our well-being to be managed and prosper. And it's really difficult to understand, I guess, what a connection to country is for peoples who may not have ever had the opportunity to experience connection to country. But I think it's there for all human beings. I think, we've got a lot of people who live in Australia now that have come from other places all around the world, and I think it just requires people to go back and actually understand their own histories and where all the memory that is held in every cell in their body, where has that resided for really long periods of time, and what does that actually mean in terms of how they understand themselves, how they relate with other peoples and with different places, and what does that do to actually influence their overall well-being. So we're very fortunate here in Australia that as First Nations peoples, for those of us that have had the opportunity to learn where country is and even the greater opportunity of learning how to connect with country and have the ongoing opportunities to connect to country, it's an experience that I absolutely cherish, and it isn't explainable in English terms. I can't explain to people how, when I'm driving on country, how every cell in my body absolutely knows that I'm on country, and I can feel it actually charge up in my cells. I can feel hairs stimulate all across my body, and my brain awaken to the sights and the smells and the experiences that are all around me, that every single thing that I am, every single cell in my body is recognising this is where you belong. And that's the most amazing experience, and I truly wish it for every human being on the planet. But we do know it's the number one protective factor for our well-being as First Nations peoples, is to have the opportunity to have and to maintain those connections with country.